You'll never be free until you face yourself. You wake up every morning with the same weight on your chest. You can't name it, you can't point to it, but it's there, pressing down, making every breath feel like you're breathing through wet cloth. You tell yourself it's stress. You tell yourself it's just how life is. You tell yourself everyone feels this way, and maybe they do, but that doesn't make you free. You've built a life that looks good from the outside. You've got the job, or the goals, or the routine. You've got people who know your name. You've got a version of yourself that you show to the world, and most days, that version is convincing enough. But when you're alone, really alone, not just physically, but mentally, when there's no screen to look at, no voice to respond to, no task to complete, that's when you feel it. The hollowness, the quiet scream that never quite reaches your throat. If this resonates with you, if you feel that weight I'm talking about, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't surface-level motivation. This is the raw truth about freedom that most people spend their entire lives running from. And if you're ready to stop running, you're in the right place. Let's go. You think freedom means escaping your circumstances, a different job, a different city, a different relationship, more money, more options, more control. And so you chase these things with everything you have, believing that once you get them, once you finally arrange the external world just right, the weight will lift, the hollowness will fill, you'll finally be able to breathe. But here's what nobody tells you until you've wasted years discovering it yourself. You're not trapped by your circumstances. You're trapped by the person you refuse to look at in the mirror. You're imprisoned by the parts of yourself you've spent your entire life running from, and until you turn around and face that person, the real you, not the performance, not the mask, not the story you tell yourself and others, you will never, ever be free. I know this because I lived it. I spent years convinced that my problems were external. Other people didn't understand me. The world wasn't built for someone like me. I just needed the right opportunity, the right breakthrough, the right moment when everything would finally click into place. I optimized, I strategized, I pushed harder, and the weight got heavier. The hollowness deepened. Because I was doing everything except the one thing that mattered. I was avoiding myself. You see, there's a version of you that you've constructed over time. It started when you were young, when you first learned that certain parts of yourself were acceptable and others weren't. When you discovered that showing vulnerability meant weakness, that expressing certain emotions made you a burden, that admitting fear or confusion or pain meant you were failing. So you learned to hide those parts. You learned to construct a self that could survive in the world, that could earn approval, that could avoid rejection and punishment and shame. And that constructed self became your prison. Because here's the truth. Every part of yourself that you deny, every emotion you suppress, every fear you refuse to acknowledge, every wound you pretend doesn't exist, those things don't disappear. They don't dissolve into nothing just because you ignore them. They accumulate. They compound. They become the walls of your cell, and you carry that cell with you everywhere you go. You can change cities, change relationships, change careers, change your entire external life, and you'll still be locked inside the same prison, because the prison is you. The prison is what you've become by refusing to face who you actually are. This is why you feel exhausted even when you haven't done anything. This is why success feels empty. This is why achieving your goals doesn't bring the satisfaction you thought it would. This is why you can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone, because you're not living as your actual self. You're living as the performance, the mask, the construction, and maintaining that performance requires constant energy, constant vigilance, constant denial of everything that's real. You think you're protecting yourself by avoiding the truth. You think if you just keep moving forward, keep achieving, keep building, keep pretending, eventually it'll all work out. Eventually you'll feel okay. Eventually the weight will lift on its own. But it won't, because the weight isn't something happening to you. The weight is you carrying the accumulated burden of every truth you refuse to face. I'll tell you when I finally understood this. It wasn't during some moment of triumph or achievement. It was during a breakdown, a complete collapse of the person I thought I was. Everything I'd built my identity on crumbled, and I was left with nothing but the raw, unfiltered reality of myself. All the parts I'd spent years hiding, all the wounds I'd pretended were healed, all the fears I'd convinced myself I didn't have. And it was terrifying. It felt like dying. Because, in a way, it was. The constructed self was dying, and I didn't know who would be left when it was gone. But here's what I discovered in that darkness. On the other side of that death is freedom. Real freedom. Not the freedom of having more options, or more control, or more success. The freedom of no longer needing to lie to yourself. The freedom of no longer carrying the exhausting weight of pretending to be someone you're not. The freedom of being able to exist without performance, without mask, without the constant internal monitoring of what's acceptable to show and what must be hidden. Facing yourself means looking directly at the things you've spent your life avoiding. It means acknowledging the trauma you've minimized. It means feeling the grief you've suppressed. It means admitting the fears that control you. It means recognizing the patterns you repeat, the ways you sabotage yourself, the reasons you keep ending up in the same situations with different people. It means being honest about your weaknesses, your failures, your mistakes, your regrets. It means seeing yourself clearly, without the stories, without the justifications, without the comfortable illusions. And this is where most people stop. Because seeing yourself clearly is painful. It's deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. Your entire psychological structure is designed to avoid this discomfort, to maintain the comfortable illusions, to keep you safe inside the prison you've built. Your mind will do everything it can to prevent you from looking too closely. It'll distract you. It'll rationalize. It'll tell you that you're fine, that you don't need to go there, that digging into the past is pointless, that some things are better left alone. But you know better, because you can feel it. You can feel the weight of everything you're carrying. You can feel the exhaustion of the performance. You can feel the hollowness at the center of your carefully constructed life. And somewhere deep down, beneath all the noise and the distraction and the rationalization, you know that nothing will change until you face it. This isn't about reliving trauma for its own sake. This isn't about wallowing in pain or indulging in victimhood. This is about liberation, because every wound you acknowledge loses its power over you. Every fear you face becomes less frightening. Every part of yourself you accept becomes integrated, whole, available to you instead of locked away in the darkness where it controls you from the shadows. You've been running your entire life. You've been running from the moment you first learned that certain parts of yourself weren't acceptable. And you've gotten very good at running. You've built an entire life around it. You've created goals and achievements and distractions and addictions and relationships and identities, all in service of not having to stop and turn around and look at what you're running from. But here's what running has cost you: your energy, your peace, your authenticity, your connection to others, your connection to yourself. You're exhausted not because life is hard, but because running is hard. Maintaining the performance is hard. Keeping the mask in place is hard. Suppressing everything real about yourself is hard. And you've been doing it for so long that you've forgotten there's another way. The irony is that the things you're most afraid to face are the things that hold the key to your freedom. The childhood wounds you've minimized, they're still running your relationships. The grief you never processed, it's underneath your anxiety and your restlessness. The shame you carry about who you are, it's the reason you can't let anyone see you fully. The anger you've suppressed because good people don't feel anger. It's leaking out in passive aggression and self-sabotage and chronic tension. You think you're keeping yourself safe by keeping these things locked away, but you're not safe. You're imprisoned, and the jailer without judgment. It means being willing to see the ways you've hurt others, the ways you've hurt yourself, the ways you've been hurt. It means acknowledging your shadow, the parts of yourself Jung talked about, the aspects of your psyche that you've disowned and rejected and projected onto others. It means recognizing that you are not just the hero of your story. You are also the villain, the coward, the fool, the victim, the oppressor. You are complex and contradictory and flawed and capable of both tremendous good and tremendous harm. And accepting this, truly accepting it, not just intellectually agreeing with it, but feeling it in your bones, is the beginning of freedom. Because when you stop trying to be perfect, you stop being afraid of being seen. When you stop pretending you have it all figured out, you stop being terrified that someone will discover you don't. When you acknowledge your weakness, you stop wasting energy pretending to be strong. When you accept your humanity, you stop being controlled by the fear of being human. This is what the Stoics understood. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal, wasn't trying to convince anyone of how wise or strong he was. He was working through his own fears, his own weaknesses, his own struggles with anger and impatience and the weight of responsibility. He was facing himself, not to achieve some ideal of perfection, but to live with integrity, to be at peace with who he actually was, rather than tormented by who he thought he should be. Seneca wrote about the prison of public opinion, the exhaustion of constantly performing for others' approval. He understood that freedom comes not from being admired by everyone, but from being honest with yourself, from knowing who you are, accepting it, and living accordingly, regardless of whether others approve or understand. Epictetus, who was literally a slave before becoming a philosopher, knew that external circumstances don't determine your freedom. You can be a slave and be free inside if you face yourself honestly. Or you can have all the wealth and status in the world and be imprisoned by your own denial, your own fear, your own refusal to acknowledge what's real. This is ancient wisdom, but it's also cutting-edge psychology. Carl Rogers talked about the gap between the self and the self-concept, the difference between who you actually are and who you think you should be. That gap creates psychological distress. The wider the gap, the more anxiety, the more depression, the more sense of living inauthentically. And the only way to close that gap is to face yourself, to see yourself clearly, to accept yourself as you actually are, rather than punishing yourself for not being who you think you should be. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Every pattern you repeat without understanding why. Every relationship that follows the same script. Every self-sabotage that seems to come out of nowhere. Every emotion that overwhelms you unexpectedly. These aren't random. They're not fate. They're the unconscious parts of yourself, the parts you refuse to face, running your life from the shadows. And the work, the real work, the work that actually leads to freedom, is making the unconscious conscious. It's bringing the shadow into the light. It's looking at the parts of yourself you've exiled and saying, I see you, I acknowledge you, you're part of me. Not to indulge those parts or let them control you, but to integrate them, to reclaim the energy you've been spending on keeping them locked away. This is not easy work. Let me be clear about that. This is the hardest thing you will ever do. It's harder than any external achievement. It's harder than any physical challenge. It's harder than building a business or running a marathon or earning a degree, because it requires you to confront the thing you've spent your entire life trying to avoid, the truth about yourself. But it's also the only work that actually matters. Because everything else, every goal you achieve, every relationship you build, every success you accumulate is built on the foundation of who you are. And if that foundation is a lie, if it's built on denial and suppression and performance, then nothing you build on top of it will ever feel solid. Nothing will ever feel real. Nothing will ever bring the peace and freedom you're searching for. You can spend your whole life building an empire on a foundation of sand. Or you can do the work of excavating down to bedrock, seeing what's actually there, and building on truth instead of illusion. I won't lie to you and say this process is quick or comfortable. It's not. There will be moments when facing yourself feels like it's breaking you, moments when you question whether it's worth it, moments when you want to retreat back into the comfortable numbness of not knowing, not feeling, not seeing. But every time you choose to face another truth about yourself, every time you acknowledge another wound or fear or part of your shadow, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. You release a bit of the weight. You create a little more space to breathe. And gradually, over time, the person you actually are begins to emerge from beneath the performance. Not perfectly, not without flaws, but authentically, really free. And here's what I've discovered on the other side of this process. You're more than you thought you were. Beneath the performance, beneath the mask, beneath all the parts you learned to hide, there's a person with depth and complexity and strength and vulnerability and creativity and power. There's a person who doesn't need to pretend, a person who can exist without constant approval, a person who can be alone without feeling lonely because they're finally at home with themselves. That person is you, the real you, not the construction, not the performance, the actual human being who's been locked away for years while the performance took center stage. And that person deserves to be free. So stop running, turn around, face yourself, look at what you've been avoiding, feel what you've been suppressing, acknowledge what you've been denying. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's true. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only path to freedom. You'll never be free until you face yourself. Not free from your circumstances. You might still have the same job, the same city, the same challenges, but free inside, free from the prison of performance, free from the weight of pretending, free from the exhaustion of running, free to exist as you actually are, without constant monitoring, without fear of being seen, without the hollowness that comes from living at a distance from your own truth. This is the work. This is the path. This is how you reclaim your life from the person you've been pretending to be. The question is, are you ready to stop running? Are you ready to face the parts of yourself you've spent years avoiding? Are you ready to feel what you've been suppressing, to see what you've been denying, to acknowledge what's real even when it's uncomfortable? Because on the other side of that courage, on the other side of that confrontation with yourself, there's freedom, real freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances, the kind that can't be taken away, the kind that comes from finally being honest about who you are and accepting it completely. That freedom is available to you right now, not when you achieve the next goal or reach the next milestone or fix the next problem. Right now, the moment you choose to stop running and turn around and face yourself. The cage is open.